Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Premier League presentation. Bring you guys a game here between Kaipi Gaming and Quantic. It's going to be an interesting matchup here. This is the quarterfinals, just a best of one series to start us off as far as this portion of the brackets. It is the second half of the quarterfinals here, and we are going to be seeing these two teams going up against one another, so it's going to be pretty interesting. Starting things off, we are going to be seeing a Nature's Prophet ban as well as a Lone Druid, and in turn we're going to be seeing the Wisp and possibly that Treant Protector. So interesting so far. We've got a good draft to start us off. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in once again. I myself am Blaze, joined by Statsman Music and co-caster Triumphant Man. What's up?
The right-click hard carry, and they want to defensively trial that, so they really have the option there to try and shut down the trees lane. On the other hand, Quantic Gaming, like I was mentioning earlier, the Naga Siren's become a lot more popular again, and Quantic are a team who will draft her, but rather than running her in a farming role, she tends to take a support role. Godblack will run that, but they will pick up the Bat Rider first regardless, but we'll see whether or not Kaipi are worried about that. Also should mention that Lust is standing in for, I think it's Come With Me is missing tonight, so that's going to be a bit of a deciding factor there. And with Come With Me out means they probably won't be running any Visage. It tends to be their it tends to be their Visage slash. I think he also plays a bit of Chen as well, but mostly it's the Visage.
Yeah, so that's kind of a defining factor there as far as their playstyle. But they do get some good pickups here. Haven't seen Darkseer in a while, but we do see the Visage as well. So interesting. I'm curious if the Standing Lust will be running that themselves, or what they're going to do as far as micromanaging those familiars and just staying active. As far as their trialing goes, it's going to be immensely powerful. Visage, backing it up with the Soul Assumption damage, that's going to be very, very nice. And then also the Darkseer should fare pretty well on his own down on the off lane. The big thing he's going to be looking for early on is a relatively well-timed Pipe of Insight, because they are going up against that OD that will be stacking up Intellect to just completely demolish the opposition with that Science Eclipse. So we'll be seeing that there, but they're starting off strong, going with 2 Intellect heroes. They will not be great against the Prison as far as losing their base damage, but the important thing is that they don't get just completely destroyed when the hammer drops. So either way, right now, pretty strong draft. 1 for the off lane, 1 for the tri lane. Now we're going on into banding phase number 2.
Yeah, the question is, what are they going to pick to try and deal with the Visage? At a pinch, you can try and throw the Darkseer in there. If you just keep spamming dual Iron Shells from a distance, he can sort of rack up the farm there. Won't shut down the OT, which is a problem, but you will need to... I mean, generally speaking, 1v1, most heroes don't manage to really shut down the OD. It comes down to, if you want to kill him, you usually need to bring a rotation in of a ganking team to try and shut him down. But with the Lone Druid band out, I mean, will we be seeing under the Conquer to try and go toe-to-toe with the OD? They'll need to pick something that doesn't really get punished heavily by the Astral Imprisonment. That said, we will have Nakes also banned out there by Kaipi. Shadow Demon also being banned out in return. Interesting choice here. And I question what Kaipi are going to go, whether or not they're going to try and play a more aggressive game, or if they're going to go for their tried and true late game business, whether or not they're going to try and get that super farm happening. And whether or not Quantic are too worried about that. I mean, Quantic might, say, you know what, let's just get farmed up and then take this game by 30 minutes. Just don't give them the option to get that really, really late game hero rolling. So I mean, that's definitely a possibility. OD as a hero can hit pretty hard early on. Send these clips like you mentioned. As soon as you get that intelligence rolling, it becomes really, really brutal. That said, right now Kaipi already have 2 int heroes there, and they also ban out. Okay, final ban there, the Alchemist.
Yeah. So, interesting to take him off in particular. I guess they're afraid of a huge tri-lane potential. I mean, the Visage obviously dumps a lot of Soul Assumption damage on the assumption that there is going to be a lot of damage coming out first. So, the Alchemist definitely provides that by setting it up with Unstable Concoction. But I wouldn't say it's necessarily a guaranteed pickup for them. Either way, it's something that they've gone to multiple times over for Eternal Envy. And I've even seen them play it supportively a couple times. So, good to take it off the board, but in conjunction with that, they're also taking out the Shadow Demon, which it means that they might be going for some high-powered nukes of their own that they don't want to be nullified by disruptions. Good bans in general, but it still leaves a lot on the table for Kaipi. I'm curious to see if they're going to pick up Arteezy's hero here or leave him for the next drafting stage. But yeah, going on forward, they only have 44 seconds left in their reserve time, so they have to make their pick. Are they going to put emphasis on their tri-lane, or they're going to pick up their solo mid? And there's so many different ways to deal with an OD, but I'm not exactly sure what Arteezy is going to bring to it, because honestly, most of the heroes that Arteezy likes to play, like the Puck and the Queen of Pain and stuff like that, get completely destroyed by the OD. But for right now, they're keeping that card hidden up their sleeve, and for right now, just going to roll out the Spectre for their carry and going to dish out a lot of damage with that Desolate.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, they do like their late game at heroes, and they're picking up the Spectre. Spectre, of course, gives them some global power, and we might just see some, well, basically Spectre, I mean, she gets the global power, but the problem is she takes her a while to get rolling, and she can hit pretty hard with the Desolate, and then of course she gets, if she goes straight for, say, the goes straight for the Diffusal Blade, she can hit pretty hard, but at the same time she really needs a bit of time to get tanky, because of course OD, I mean, Dispersion or no Dispersion, OD is going to blow right through her in the early phase, especially land standing clip. She's going to get absolutely wrecked. So I think they're going to have to spend they're going to have to spend a lot of time getting her up and running, and that's the problem here. Quantic could quite easily pick a lineup that can completely and utterly blow them apart before they're ready to get rolling. And Naga Siren, there we go. They will pick up their Naga Siren support, so it's probably going to be OD mid, most likely. Naga Siren support, and the question, who will she be looking after? I'm expecting Bat Rider in the offlane here, which means they're looking for some kind of primary farmer, and then another soft support as well.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, one great thing about Naga Siren is she is flexible, so if that 5th pick comes up and they, Kaipi fortuitously have banned out the perfect hero that Quantic were looking for, they could swap the role set, but like you said, it's not in their inclination here, so they still have a world of options ahead of them, and we'll see exactly what they end up going for. Right now, Kaipi drafting up a very illusion-oriented setup, though. They have the Wall of Replica, they have the Spectre Illusions. They're just going to be all over the place with those two. I mean, if you vacuum Wall of Replica while Haunt is active, that's going to be like 10 different illusions all come in one little tiny spot. So could see the Earthshaker come out again. I would love to see it, because just Hero is very, very fun. But for right now, we're seeing some more unorthodox picks. So we see the Kunkka coming out for Kaipi. That's been seen multiple times over. But the Pugna is something that I haven't been seen to great effect. I mean, he has been picked up once or twice to kind of get a feel for him. But as far as successes, haven't seen so much. What about yourself?
I mean, he's annoying because of the ward is always a huge pain in the butt. But I think more the point is he also pushes kind of nicely. Obviously, spamming Nether Blast is really, really helpful. And I mean, he also, the other thing is, of course, he allows you to completely, utterly obliterate someone just because you can tile. Like, you throw Decrep down and you can land a few nukes. Like, they get melted really, really quick. That may be what they want to help really pull Spectre apart very quickly. If you can Decrep her and then just land a couple of really nasty nukes, she'll disappear very quickly. I mean, you Decrep and then drop Sandy's Eclipse and she's just going to disappear. She's going to melt instantaneously. Kunkka, I think, is not so much a fringe pick anymore. He's become very standard, and he's mostly been picked up. I mean, he's mostly been picked up as a complete and utter counter, or not so much counter, but just a complete and solid laning option against the OD. He's very, very common. You see OD picked up, you'll see a Kunkka picked up fairly shortly after. And I actually wouldn't even be surprised if you seeing him getting banned out, because, I mean, you land, I mean, he's really dangerous to try and push in against, because if you push in and then your creep wave dies suddenly and you need to back out, suddenly you can get X'd out of position really easily. He can set up fights really, really nicely too. With that said, I think Quantic's lineup at the moment is still a lot stronger, so that does bother me somewhat. Keeper going to be the final pick here, so it looks like we're going to see Starkster in the offlane, Visage Keeper supporting the Spectre. And, I mean, they should be able to get the farm happening, but the question is, how are Quantic going to... Pugna, is Pugna a primary farmer here, or is he some kind of support? I don't know what they've got up their sleeve. I mean, Naga Siren, I think, is almost a given that she's going to be supporting here.
Yeah. Definitely promising in that regard. I mean, if they want to put a little bit more emphasis on the early game, and just go for like a Naga Siren isn't the hardest carry in the world, because her only big thing is the illusions. Negative armor is nice, but a lot of heroes provide such utility. So in general, she's not the hardest carry in the game, but if they want to put emphasis on the early game through Pugna's push, they certainly can. The problem is the rest of the line doesn't really work with that. Bat Rider is great for pickoffs, but as far as 5v5 man mode on a tower, Pugna and the illusions are really the only thing they have going for that. And they're up against now a Keeper of the Light, which has great potential to illuminate things down, and the Kunkka's cleave as well. So they'll clear the creep waves very, very rapidly. And from there, I'm not too sure. I'm really, really confident in Kaipi's lanes. Like, that tri lane is scary as hell. Visage, Ezreal, and Spectre. Even if Spectre doesn't contribute anything, you still have two amazing supports that can accomplish a lot. But we are going to see the Bane come on through. That means a core Naga Siren. Godblack's going to be the one picking up the Pugna, while Flicking Mad is the one running the Naga Siren. So, going to be an interesting combo. But one thing that I really, really can't wait to see until later stages of the game is Pugna going for Decrepify on Outworld Devourer defensively. He can always go for the Arcane Orb Q-clicks, I guess you could say, on whatever target he wants, and in turn, he cannot be right-clicked by Kunkka, he can only be hit by the Tidebringer, he cannot be right-clicked by Spectre, so that's a lot of damage gone. Now, Kaipi isn't really right-click reliant, but every little bit helps, so it's really nice to see it in that regard, but just, I guess, trying to find something that'll work. I'm curious to see exactly what Quantic has in store for us.
I mean, yeah, obviously the right click is nice. That said, I mean, you decrep and then you hit by an Illuminate, or a really big soul assumption, something you're really going to feel rather silly about it. So there is that, and also the burn. The burn from Bone 7 is going to sting really hard as well. I'm glad you can tell which one's Godlike and which one is fucking mad though, because I really, like when they tag up like that, I have no idea. I mean, I thought 777 was Godlike.
Oh no, Godlike's run 333 quite a few times as a random alias. It's not like frequent, but it's interesting. I'm not sure exactly what that's about, but anyways, and fucking Mad does have a 7 at the beginning of his name, so that's appropriate there, I suppose. But yeah, as far as this matchup, I'm honestly curious. Godblack is a drafting genius, so he obviously has some plan, but I can't really tell what it is. The Outworld Devourer has pure damage nukes, same thing with the Bane. So there's not really that much synergy with an offensive Decrepify, other than some damage through Riptide, Firefly, whatever. I don't know. It's very interesting, but as far as exactly what they have in mind, I really don't have the best opportunity to judge it in this position here. I feel that Kaipi have a very well-rounded and very solid lineup that we would expect to see. Like, you could see this pick up a couple weeks ago and not been too caught off guard by it whatsoever. But with Quantic running Pugna along with these heroes, it's a sight to see, really.
Honestly, I think it's just Decrep and Sanity's Eclipse. That's pretty much it. I mean, you land the big Sanity's Eclipse and just the Decrep on, what is that? Is it just ridiculous? What does it cap out? I can't remember what the damage caps out at, but it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
Throw the Decrep on it.
I don't think it caps, honestly, does it? No, there's no cap. It's honestly based on the difference of the intelligence, so there's not going to be an issue like that there. But yeah, one thing is, why pick a Bane then? In that situation, you already have a net to lock somebody down, the Ensnare, so you don't really need the Nightmare setup unless you really want to go hard in the 3 versus 3. Of course, the disable on anybody is going to be nice then. But I don't know, I just feel like something with a little bit more magic damage nuke potential might have coincided a little bit better. But they banned the Rubik themselves, and I don't know. It's just, all of them are great heroes, but working together, I don't see them meshing all that well. They have great initiation, they have great pickoff potential, they can single somebody out pretty hardcore. Silent can maneuver to set up Pugna for a really long drain, so on and so forth. But really, it's going to be on them to go for fights early and to make sure that they are kind of playing to their strengths, which is Silent. Amazingly on farm, he can get a Blink Dagger really early, and beyond that, they're just going to put out a lot of pressure on the top lane.
I mean, here's the thing with Bane. Like, you got in a perfect world, he can effectively take 3 targets out of the fight. But the problem is you've got to get close enough to set everything up, and the problem is obviously getting the 3 heroes you want to take out straight away, close enough so you can do that. But Naga, Siren, Song gives him the opportunity to set that up. He can just waltz in, get close to where he needs to be, position exactly where he needs to be. Nightmare someone, throw down the Enfeeble, so you can say, all right, I'm going to Nightmare Darkseer, Enfeeble Kunkka, so he can't do anything. Or probably actually more likely Enfeeble Spectre, so she can't do a whole lot, and then Fiend's Grip Kunkka. And then suddenly, there's 3 people out of the fight, and that's just Bane at work. And then you throw Net on somebody. They've got so much lockdown there. And the thing is, I think their team, they can just go in. They can literally just go in. Even if Bane doesn't use all 3 spells, doesn't even bother Nightmaring anybody, they just go in, Nightmare, Nagasaran goes in, sings, they have the opportunity, they set up the Astral Imprisonment, throw down a net on somebody else from Naga, Lasso goes on somebody else, and then Fiend's Grip. I mean, you've already got 4 heroes taken out of the fight, and then whoever they want to die, OD just hits.
Yeah.
And then you throw Sandy's Eclipse and just, oh, wow. Kaipi, I mean, I think Kaipi, they've got to initiate here. If they don't land the boat, and completely, if they don't land a really good boat, or at least obliterate Nagastar, or do something to take her out of the fight, I really think they're going to get picked apart really quickly in the fight. And that bothers me a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Silent losing about half his HP here. In general, the problem is he doesn't have Firefly, so he can't go high ground, low ground games against Bone 7. That means he just literally has to napalm and right click. Although he does, of course, get away, it's gonna start him off a little bit sore on the bot lane. He's gonna be okay, but Bone 7 is gonna be able to pick up a magic stick whenever he feels like it, and then from there, the lane's a bit of a wash. Up on the top lane, we are, of course, going to see a lot more potential coming in from Quantic, as far as it's kind of on their terms that they'll be jumping around. Piloted will do some harassment, but they really can't go in full until they get Keeper Light up to level 3 or something like that, or get some amazing Illuminates off, which unfortunately isn't happening as of yet. So for right now, they are setting up the mid lane very well, the bot lane very well, but they aren't guaranteeing anything just yet. One thing I want to point out real quick is RTZ did get a Bracer first. He just started off with HP regen from his supports, and from there he is going to be able to control the lane pretty well versus Funzy.
Something else I want to point out. Pugner is the primary farmer here, I'm pretty sure. He has actually started with a bunch of items, and Naga Siren there has actually, she's pulled into this support role.
Yeah.
She's just going to do iron ramps and stuff. So, I mean, this looks like it will actually be a primary farming Pugner here, and are we sure that have they rotated players in positions? Because correct me if I'm wrong, Godlike pretty much primarily plays nothing but support.
Yeah, but he has shown flexibility in the past. He has actually shown like he can go for a jungle prophet and stuff like that and still play extremely well. So although he is generally the hard support player, right now he is picking up this Pugna and seems to be in that farming role. 7 CS already, picking up the Basilius, going for some early push as the Basilius is actually active, and they're showing that they want to end this game before the Spectre gets too big. And, of course, that's going to be the appropriate way to respond. Actually, First Blood could be on bottom. He's going to bottle up through the Iron Shell, though, so never mind. Going to go ahead and just keep on napalming, bottling away. There's the Surge, but he's under the tower, very, very close. And he's going to go off the grid with a Firefly and get the First Blood himself. Silent, setting himself up. The bottle coming at the perfect time. And the auto attacks could not cancel the charges. So he walks away. He baits very, very, very hard in Darkseer. Bone 7, surging away down to bottom with only a Stout Shield. Unfortunately, he does have a bottle, but could not acquire a Magic Stick. So, yeah, in that position there, that was just a really, really good play by Batrider, and as a result, he's now sitting on 460 experience per minute.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people are probably confused as to how he was bottling through the Iron Shell. Even though it says 50 damage a second, it deals the damage over micro ticks, so they're coming in a much, much tinier rate. I think it's something like 5 damage ticks is very, very low, but obviously it does a large amount of damage just in tiny little ticks. So I mean, it doesn't actually need to hit a certain threshold to cancel bottles, salves, that sort of stuff. And now a bit of a pull happening here from the Radiant side, just going to abuse that pull that they can use when they go to the hard lane on the Radiant side, and we'll manage to snatch it up, although Big Illuminate's being tossed in there as well. Counterward's being thrown down now by Kaipi, just going to try to open up their pull. I mean, this is what they want, because right now, Kaipi's lineup, they can pull fairly effectively, not without too much worry, just because of the defensive capabilities of the Keeper of Light. They can just spam those Illuminates. If you try and move in to try and jack that pull, he's just going to start illuminating you all over you. But I feel like the Pugna here, it's just mostly just for the nuke potential between standing clips and the fact that it pushes nicely. I mean, with this continuous spam here, just spamming the Nether Blast non-stop, it's making it very hard for Envy to get close to farm, and once they start pushing up, they're going to start dealing a lot of damage to the tower too. As soon as he loses that farming space, Envy's in a really, really bad spot. I'm actually kind of surprised that this ward hasn't been countered yet. Why is it still there?
Couldn't tell you honestly. That is something they should have been able to take out. Maybe just didn't walk the right way at the right time, thinking that the ward was hidden over here. But either way, it stands at least for the moment, and that pull won't be available for the 4-minute spawn, possibly not even the 5-minute, which would be extremely unfortunate for them. We do see a bit of a rotation. Fucking Mad coming in. Level 2 Naga Siren, trying to get pick off on RTZ, but he's well aware of the situation. Going in for some Torrent CS, but doesn't land it. And yeah, he's just going to get zoned out pretty hard as the Riptide and the ever-impending Ensnare could easily result in his demise, so gonna have to watch himself.
Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, the CS though, despite that early kill there, it looks like Batrider, or rather, Darkseer is pretty much keeping toe-to-toe with Batrider at the moment. Is he going to surge up? They're actually going to chase Silent. Silent maybe in a bit of a bad position here. Going to Firefly up, use those trees, make sure he doesn't knock them all down so he's got something to run around. Now another surge. Oh, Lasso there drags him back. That's a 5-stack on Napalm. Up to 6 now. A lot of damage there on Darkseer. Darkseer, though, going to bottle and back off. And Silent decides that he doesn't want to try and give chase. He's just going to continue farming there. Meanwhile, top lane, more and more Illuminates just being tossed through there. But the critical point, a lot of farm going through to Goblack there. He's up to 24 CS, in fact, pretty much on par with the most farmed heroes, whereas Envy can't do a damn thing. He's on 5 CS.
Oh, actually...
Darkseer. There we go, bottom line, Darkseer picks up a kill.
Wow, yeah, that was unexpected, but the haste run just being so effective once he dropped off those napalm stacks. The first dive was ineffective because he already had 5 stacks on top of him, and all Batrider had to do was pop Firefly, hold his ground, but after having exhausted his lasso and not having Flame Break skilled, he doesn't really have that much at his disposal, so can throw a napalm or two, but Firefly on cooldown, lasso on cooldown, he's just a sitting duck under his tower, and it was Darkseer making a good move to capitalize on it, and now he is the top dog as far as levels, sitting at level 7 before anybody else and actually scaling up his ultimate as soon as possible.
And there we go, Arcane Boots picked up by Goblak. The spam going to continue to come out from him. MB still struggling to find any room to farm at all, and somehow this ward is still blocking. It looks like they've just gone, alright, screw this, and they're going over and just pulling. Well, I mean, this is just as effective what he's doing. Well, the only downside is, of course, it's not there to support, which is the bigger issue, but he's, you know, pretty much nullifying the creep waves, which is making Quantic lose a lot of experience, but they are going to counter with their own pulls, and it gets screwed over. That tree, they regrew just as he went for the pull. So that wave is going to leak through there. Meanwhile, rotation there for Piladai has also headed back to the mid. Darkseer picking up his Arcane Boots as well. It looks like they're bringing in some support. They might actually try and gun for a kill here. Funzy's a long way back there, though. I don't think they can get at him.
Well, one of the big things is he doesn't have prison available here, so they actually do have some decent potential to lock him down. He can't dodge an assumption, and that's mostly down to bad luck. The fact that he hasn't gotten any essence or procs here. He's actually not even scaling up his ultimate for a while. He just wants to get some mana, and he's going to have to luck out with the next prison. Otherwise, he's not going to have too much chance to sustain as far as mana goes. But we do see rotation over, kind of back and forth. Rise trying to set something up if he can, but so far, a very bloodless top lane, just kind of a little bit here and there, back and forth. The end result, though, is 31 CS for Pugna, only 12 for Spectre.
I mean, he's also got his Tranquil Boots out now, so he should be able to... I mean, he's going to proc it eventually. Now he's got the Tranquils out there, he's going to heal up, and I'm pretty sure Tranquils can proc it.
I didn't think so, actually.
As well as... Oh, can they? Maybe oh, no, I might be thinking of Buckler that does it. One of those cheap items does help him proc, as it looks like he is going to get torrented, and X marks the spot. Going to try and set up here, as it looks like a Soul Assumption going to come out. Grave Chill Soul, yet going to probably toss it in right now, right at the end. Not enough damage, unfortunately. Piladai, not a high enough level. It's only a level 2 Soul Assumption. He's kind of low, having only been able to use the pulls there to try and level up. He hasn't really gotten that.
Oh, Darkseer!
Got like 2 pulls off.
Oh my
wow.
gosh, long run for Bone 7, came all the way across the map, surged over, got the vacuum, popped the wall, got the damage, and that shut down OD pretty hard. Second kill on the board for Kaipi. Good movement from Bone 7, and TP's out immediately.
Wow, I got to kind of feel bad for Outlaw Devourer. You just don't expect. Where's the friggin' dark? Why is there a friggin'? It's 8 minutes in, and there's a friggin' Darkseer sitting outside your base. It's like, why? How did you get there? What are you doing here? It's not something you see all the time at all. Definitely a very aggressive play there from Darkseer, and it paid off brilliantly. I mean, that's a big kill. They need that one. They need to keep that OD down. Meanwhile, though, RTZ just going to continue. Oh, no, gets in prison. Never mind. He looks like he was going for a torrent there for a moment.
Yeah, so there. Normally, I wouldn't have
Looks like Lust, though. He's pretty much got nothing. This Lust. So he's he's playing the hard role here. He's got absolutely nothing to his name. He's got 1 tango, and that's it for items.
Yeah. So, yeah, he doesn't really have too much, but he doesn't need too much. Obviously, a very independent hero, the Keeper of the Light, has the Chakra Magic, can continue to spam that out and do pretty well for his team. Now, we do see down on bottom, there is going to be a rank 2 ensnare coming out. This should set up the lasso right in time for the surge, but no! Unfortunately, Silent goes for 1 more napalm stack, and as a result, can't get in range for the lasso. Not sure if it would have even net the kill, because Bone 7 has gotten pretty tanky, and it has maxed out Magic Stick charges. But still, forcing him off the lane for now. He's going to transition in towards the mid to go toe-to-toe with Funzy here. Arteezy, unfortunately, not only having 13 mana, 1 intellect, means that he will not be able to go for the X marks the spot. It's too much stacks there. And one thing that our stat guy was able to add to the commentary is the fact that the items Tranquil Boots and Buckler will both provide that. I don't play enough OD myself, and I probably should, but in that, it's being able to sustain with such low mana items, 25 mana on one, 10 mana on the other. That allows him to be very, very active with his Essence Aura, and therefore just continuously keep his mana pool active. So very, very nice for them. We do see, however, it's going to be Bone 7 to pick up a double damage, or at least cover it, and probably pick it. Nope, RTZ will be able to acquire it here. I'm looking for some big boats. We already saw some good activity on mid previously, and honestly, they have all the setup in the world for it now that Vacuum is rank 2 and going to be rank 3 at level 10.
It looks like looks like he is just going to be covered. And Darkseer is just transitioned here. I don't think they would have got the kill on him. I mean, Darkseer right now is pretty. Not so much that he's super tanky. It's that Batrider's
Top lane,
a lot
actually.
of burst damage.
They're going down pretty
top
hard.
lane. Okay, so what do we got there? There's another ward. Goes down. Illuminate whiffs though. And they will manage to walk away there. And the ult there being expended by Spectre, not really doing a whole lot. Speaking of Spectre, she's on 22 CS at the 10-minute mark. That is not a good sign at all. Meanwhile, OD 45 and 40 there for the Pugna. So it looks like Batrider, though, are going to be leading the charge on CS board at 62. Darkseer, though, as well as Kunkka, also doing quite well for themselves.
So in this position here, Eternal Envy, he's getting levels, but just that's really not something you care too much about. The stat gains on Spectre are not that great. In fact, they're probably some of the worst in the game. And so as a result, all you're looking for is items. She scales so well with items, but can't find the opportunity to even move in for a drum for quite some time. So Eternal Envy very, very, very far behind, and might even get worse if this teamfight doesn't work out for them. There's the Nightmare. There's a Vacuum coming on in, though. The wall will connect pretty hard, and with the Illuminate going on through, as well as the Soul Assumption, they do clean up both the Bane and the Naga Siren here. So they might try to transition this into a push, but they don't have their buckler up, so it might be too difficult for them. We'll see. Either way, in this position here, they're happy to pick up a couple more kills because the Spectre needs to be able to participate and be able to move on forward with her farm.
I mean, that said, Spectre, of course, is going to be a bit of a downside, the fact that she's not getting farmed up. But that said, Kunkka has had a pretty good start. And if they pick up this tower, this tower would be nice for her, but it's not going to really swing the tides all that easily. Right now, a bigger deal for them is not so much to push, it's just to regain control up here. And so she can find some space to farm. And that said, Quantic know exactly what they've got to do. They've got to keep her under a lot of pressure. The fact that she's not finding room to CS is a bigger problem than not getting that tower. And in fact, it's a 5-man port. They want pressure on this badly. Everybody's coming here. They have a mech, I should mention. OD got a mech. A blink in there. Envy is in so much trouble. Nether Blast as well. Life Drain on top of that. Knockback by the Flame Break. Although he's going to... No, he doesn't quite get away. Boat comes through too late to do anything. Hands that run, but that's about it. The DD Kunkka going to come charging back in. No, decides not to attack. He's got a Feeble on him, so he's not doing as much damage as you'd like. They bring down Keeper, who is an easy target. He is so fragile. And now it looks like they're also going to pick off Kunkka. Throws down a Torrent. Going to hit 2 heroes there. Probably not enough, though. Throws... Oh, Sanity's Eclipse. He did a ton of damage with that cleave. Pugna almost going down, but Eclipse sealed the deal there, and that is a big wipe against Kaipi.
Nice move from Funzy. He used the mechanism early. He got the amazing body blocks off after the prison expired. He did the prison in the first place, which allowed them to get in that position. And of course, just benefiting from the napalm stacks, it just kept on coming forward. So they got an amazing fight out of that. The boat, like you said, didn't do too much at all. And now they're just in such a great position. They have the mechanism. They can continue to be aggressive. And yeah, just that movement of that core Pugna. He got that life drain very, very early on. And like I was talking about, you can't underestimate Silence potential to farm. He plays so well in every single role. And right now we're seeing his bat. Pretty impressive to get that Blink Dagger by only 12 minutes into the game. So jumping on in, setting it up so that Pugna's life drain would do work on Spectre. And despite a couple points in dispersion and power treads already, it just isn't enough to keep her alive. So Eternal Envy on the back foot, especially now that this tier 1 has fallen, and the most common safe farming place for their number 1 has been compromised.
Yeah, just looking at Pugna, he hasn't even bothered with Decrepify at this point in time. Looks like Spectre's going to ult, just get a bit of vision here. But it looks like actually, wow, it's going to do a lot of damage there. Also going to throw out the Spectral Dagger there. Illuminate coming through, not doing a whole lot, but it looks like he's just going for the ward. The ward is pretty annoying. It does a fair amount of... It's not an inconsiderable amount of damage. Meanwhile, the mid lane, OD gets picked off there. Now Silent Chart is in there. Riptide as well. Net goes down. RTC caught out. But Soul Assumption hammers fucking man. He has to back off immediately. And now Iron Shell moves back in. Bane's down. He's going to go for another one. Gets cleaned up, though. Gets the Naga Siren, but he will die in return. That's a 2-for-3 trade. Not terrible. Not terrible at all.
And Soul Assumption might get... No. Oh, close. But I think he popped the Soul Assumption before the Illuminate actually got the damage assumed. So it wouldn't do enough, unfortunately. Otherwise, there would be enough souls. But no, he survives. And now they're just in a good position here. They did get some counterattack damage. Darkseer was able to bring everybody low enough. And, yeah, just continuing to throw out volley after volley. Highlight Eye. And the Lust, the stand-in support, how we're able to do a lot in that engagement, but it's still, they kind of feel like they're on the back foot here. You were talking about that ward being ranked up prioritized after Nether Blast, and it's actually pretty damaging to heroes like Darkseer who have a 300 mana cost ultimate and then also want to use their Vacuum, which is another 190. So that's a lot of mana being spent, and that's a lot of damage you're taking as a result of that. So tanky heroes becoming not so tanky, and that mechanism even hurting yourself a little bit. So it's difficult in that position to stay active and just keep the fight flying, and that's what Quantic are all about right now. They want the engagements. They started off strong by getting a pick-off, either through Fiend's Grip or, more likely, a Blink Lasso, and from there they follow through because they can just make sure that they win the long fights.
This is true. This is definitely true. I see Conquer, though. He's just doing a bit of tread switching there. So it looks like the Radiant side sweeping through jungle. Looking for a potential pick-up. I've got to say Bane is playing very ballsy there. Rise, not something you want to do so much, wandering around an opposing jungle by yourself as a Bane.
He was smoked up a bit ago, but...
Oh, I mean, you're smoked up, but then, you know, all it takes is to stumble into someone like Conquer, and suddenly you're in so much trouble.
Yeah, Arteezy went for the second point, and X marks the spot. That's the most common build to guarantee a torrent. Now we're going to see it used down a bottom. TP coming on through. They're going to go in with the Haunt Reality right on top of Silent. There's a Soul Assumption to finish the job. So some nice cash flow coming in for Eternal Envy and for the entire team with a 4-man transition. Very rapid. It was a 1-on-1 matchup, and then in a second, suddenly there was almost an entire team there. And with the Keeper Light going to be soon picking up Recall, that's going to be even more of an issue for Quantic. So Silent has to be a little bit more cautious about how he chooses his battles, but as a whole, they're in a good position to go for 5-man Dota.
Just like Quantic, what is fucking man going to pick up here? Looks like he's grabbing Arcane Boots, I think. Yeah, he's grabbing Arcane Boots as well. So I think they're going to have a lot of sustain here. And I think Quantic, they're just going to go and push as hard as they can here. I mean, they've got a fair amount of sustain with the mana spam. The bigger issue for them is being able to sustain health-wise.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with only one mech. I think they have an urn as well. Yeah, Pug has picked up an urn, but no charges yet. He's also grabbed up an Ogre Club on top of that. We'll see what he decides to transition into with that in a second as well. But yeah, just continuing that Nether Blast spam. Gonna keep this pressure on. Now, it looks like Song's come out. He's trying to keep them away from it. However, he's getting hammered by those little birds there, but he's going to try and set up Lust. Lust, though, gets hit by the Riptide and backs up now. The Nether Ward goes down as well. There we go. Let's down. His Eclipse gets dropped. RTC gets wrecked. Fiend's Grip as well. The bird's now starting to run out of damage, not really doing a whole lot. Rise just going to stand his ground there, not really care about him at all. And then we go, Soul Assumption comes through. Doesn't do it too much damage to Silent, though. And they should be able to pick off this tower fairly easily there. Just going to spam the Nether Blast. And they've got a Catapult working on it as well. There we go, tower down.
And this is going to continue to be the case. They popped off 3 ultimates to bring down Arteezy, but they find it well worth it as he's really the only threat next to Darkseer. In this position here, Kaipi is going to be scrambling for ground very, very quickly. The fact that they went for multiple Arcane Boots, one on the Naga, one on the Pugna, and they have that Essence Aura, of course, maxed out, means that they can just push. I've seen this happen a long time back with a Outworld Devourer plus a Death Prophet combination, where you can just spam out the Crypt Swarm, and it works very similarly with Nether Blast, being only a 5.5 second cooldown. So you stay active, you just keep the mana flowing, and you continuously just batter down on their front door. So they brought down the tower very, very quickly. They dropped down the tier 2 to only 560 HP, and despite picking up the Keeper Light as their 5th pick, it looks like Kaipi are really having a hard time turtling this up.
I mean, the other problem, of course, Keeper's consistently spamming Illuminates. He's taking a lot of damage there from the Nether Ward as well. But just going to continue pushing through here. They're going to try and put their own counter push now on the tier 1 mid. Pung, though, immediately rotating back to the mid lane from the jungle. It's going to stop that in its tracks there as well. So it looks like a potential gank there from Darkseer looking for Funzy. Not going to find him, though. He backs off behind the tower. Nice and safe. He, of course, saw the rotation there from the ward. But all the Dire team members in their own jungle, except for Green, porting to the bottom lane. Kunks has started to try and stop this push. In fact, he's got some help now. Mass ports here to the bottom lane. Here's Keeper as well. He's a Chakra himself. Now he's got enough of the Illuminate. And now Darkseer shows up to the party. There we go. Torrent lands. Now Nor ports into the front tower. Before stuff away. X-Master spot, though, blinks out before he takes damage. And a Spectral Dagger thrown in blind, but it's not going to help. They won't get the tower pushed down, but at the same time, they won't lose anybody in return. And they force five ports out from Kaipi. That's a lot of money spent there.
Wow, Silent just pulling a Houdini there. He, despite the X marks the spot, he forced out of the vacuum, meaning that nothing had done damage. With the torrent not having connected yet, and with the Vacuum missing, Blink Dagger was not put on cooldown. There was nothing that they have as far as long-range abilities because Visage and Kata weren't there yet. So they couldn't put the Blink on cooldown. He used the Force to dodge out the thing that would put it on cooldown, and as soon as X snapped him back, he was gone. Perfect timing. That is just like trigger finger reactions coming out of Silent as he pulls out one of the better escapes I've seen in a long while. Like, that's something that he should have been 100% dead, and instead they just let him walk away. Now Silent pulling on in, Pilot Eye, gonna go for some stun form to try to keep him up, but he dodges both stuns with the Force Staff, and although fucking Mad will take some damage from the Soul Assumption, they will get a solo kill on to him.
Yeah, he does get picked off there. In fact, they're going to go for the birds as well to try and pick him up. Blink forward there. There's 100 gold for Batrunner. Will he get the second one as the quest decides to back off and not overextend there? Probably a wise choice. Meanwhile, some work being done on the town. Now the ward's still down. Kunkka, though, sneaks in a deny. Throws an X mark spot, but here we go. Torrent as well. Boat incoming. Pugger in some trouble. Astral imprisonment. Very well timed there from Funzy. May cost him his life, though. They pick off the ward.
He's got Ags.
Trap going down. Nether Blast, and now the heal there. The life drain. And look, the life drain him. Scepter. Oh my god. And there we go.
Wow.
Picks up another hero. There's the sustain. Pugner not going down at all. And now Kunkka, life drain again. Batrunner's going to run him down as well. Kunkka goes down. And there we go. Soul Assumption tossed in. Nightmare D crap. And then he heals up yet again. Banished though by Bugsy to keep him safe from the birds. Meanwhile, comes straight back in there, healed up by the urn, and now the birds not doing enough at all, and that tower spam once again being hammered by the Nether Blast.
Now in mid lane, we do see that Boneside will try to turn around, get a kill on Rise, but there's a great song keeping him up, and Rise should be able to get on out of this, at least get out of range to go for the Brain Sap, and they will finish the job very, very quickly. He goes for the Surge, he gets ensnared instead, and he will be dropped down. So that is just everybody getting dropped down. And of course, the Keeper Light was the first to die, so that is a full team wipe for absolutely nothing. And holy crap, I've seen Ags rush on Witch Doctor carry games, but it was something else. Pugna dropping down. He was at like 20% HP when he got prisoned, but Funzy keeping him up, just making sure Essence Aura was there to provide all the mana you could possibly need, as that's one weakness of Ags rush on Pugna, is it does cost a decent chunk of mana, and even though it has no cooldown, you're going to run out eventually. But high int gain, Essence Aura, keeping them, the mana flowing, and then some well-timed mechanism prisons coming out to give him all the time in the world to drain. And we're going to see it here once again on Arteezy as a simple pickoff. Arteezy goes in a little bit too far forward, and Silent punishes him for it. They are on their last legs here, as Carry Pugna, I don't even know.
Yeah. Like, when Nagasara picked up her Arcane boots, I was like thinking, like, to myself, just thinking, wow, did they really need that? I mean, they've got Essence Aura, they already had Arcanes on Pugna, already had Arcanes on Bane as well. It's like, do you really need to spend your hard-earned 1,000 gold with your first item on Arcane Boots? And now watching Pugna just life drain his way through everything. Yes, you damn well do. Vacuum back in, though. Counter-attacking it from Kaipi. I think it's going to be short-lived, though. Net goes in, and there's that life drain with Decrep on Pilot Eye. Has to heal up off the wand, and will actually back off the Nether Blast again. Fiend Script as well. They pick off Kunkka. Kunkka is down. Buyback there from Spectre as well. They're going to come back up on top of that. Ult's in there with Reality Rift, and it looks like the Reality there from the Horn. And now again, those heals. Look at those heals. EE is getting wrecked by them. Astral Imprisonment top down. Down goes Spectre once again. Flame Break tossed in. Heals once again. And down goes Darkseer. And now more heals. More heals for Quantic. Can they kill him? Looks like they'll eventually get... No, heal starts healing again. They can't kill him. He's out of mana. And now he's in some trouble. And finally gets picked up because he finally ran out of mana. Dear God, but they pick off the tier 3 tower, and I mean, they can come right back and do this again. Big bonus though for Kaipi. I mean, they managed to snare and then pick off Outlaw Devourer. I mean, had they not picked him off, I mean, I don't think they would have managed to kill Pugner at all between the Astral Imprisonments and the mech.
Yeah, just too much defensive abilities, and yeah, that OD keeping his mana up constantly. I mean, the drain must flow. Just keep it coming. He's just spamming that out. Now, I might be rusty on my mechanical interaction on this one, but I believe the fact that he had Kunkka's Rum on him meant that the drain was only healing Pugna for half as what it normally would. But I'm not 100% if it's supposed to coincide 1-for-1 ratios. Either way, the end result is that Pugna is one hard guy to take down. I wanted to talk about this really, really early in the game, but I didn't think it would be as applicable as it actually is. The fact that Kaipi doesn't have much as far as stopping channels. They have the Vacuum, they have the familiar stuns, and they have Kunkka's abilities. But beyond that, Kunkka, just drain, drain, drain. Doesn't care about blinding light, doesn't care about much. And he does pick up a BKB for good measure, but hardly needs it. In this position here, he just keeps on channeling away, has all the mana in the world. He's going to hit level 16 eventually. And when that happens, I don't see any way Kaipi can actually survive against this. I mean, Spectre has a drum and treads.
To be fair, they have, 2 on Kunkka, 2 abilities that can disrupt or interrupt the channel on Kunkka, 2 from Visage, and then 3 if he gets the 3rd bird from Arganims, and then 1 on Darkseid. I mean, that's 5. That's not bad.
You need like a dozen right now.
The problem is, I mean, it's Pugna. You can't stop him. He's with Arganim Scepter, he can just recast it non-stop. That's the big issue. So, I mean, I don't think any team could stop him from recasting continuously. I mean, you've got to have continuous lockdown. But anyway, speaking of lockdown, there it is on Pilot Eye. It's cleaned up. Oh, wow. Sanity Eclipse completely obliterates Kunkka. And now it's going to be Darkseid's turn to fall. He gets gripped. He gets destroyed. Song comes in just to help them chase down Emby. Actually, are they going to go for Emby? Yes, they are. I think they are. They're going to go after Emby now. Moving into position, and looks like Keeper. Here we go. He's going to throw him down and illuminate. It's not going to help, though. Emby gets picked off, and this is it. This is GG. This is done. There we go. Well played is called, and yeah, Blaze. I mean, that's ridiculous. He's got a freaking Black King bar now.
Yep.
You can't even stun him at all.
It's too much. That is amazing. I mean, some good base stats from Aghanim's keeps them up and kicking. The Mechanism, the Prison. Running a core Pugna with an OD, I was talking about drafting Genius, and we see it at work here. Like, that's something you don't even think of, but holy crap here. We see it coming into play. Pugna with 8 kills, 1 death, and 11 assists. Just going so ham on this. It's just really, really amazing to see it. One interaction that actually makes this different than how it would play out in Dota 1 is the combination change between Ensnare and Ethereal targets. If there is a target that gets like a Ghost Scepter or something like that, in Dota 1 you could actually dodge out the Ensnare because it was a physical disable. But in this, obviously, we've seen multiple times over to Repify and Ensnare on the same exact target, and that just gives them all the time in the world. It adds on that full duration, that full 5-second duration to just drain away, and that pretty much seals one person's fate immediately. So, there you go. Really,
I just want to point out that the tankiest hero in the game, I think, right now, is Pugna with his 1.2 strength gain, and he's the tankiest hero in the game. That's how much farm he's managed to pick up. It's absolutely nuts, just spamming that Nether Blast non-stop.
It's insane. I mean, he's been able to pick up so much, 142 CS, and honestly, the entire team is designed around setting him up, ensnaring him. Fiends grip somebody, you lasso somebody. It's all like, here, Pugna, have another hero. Just suck them dry, and suddenly there's nothing that Kaipi can do to survive. And 28 minutes in is a great time to end a game versus the Spectre in any circumstance, but in here, adding on a Pugna with a GPM totaling 495, that's where it's at.
Oh yeah, definitely. Anyway, so what have we got next?
Indeed, looking back at the brackets, we do see now that this game has resolved itself. Evil Geniuses versus Mousesports is going to be the final match for the quarterfinals, and we're going to be seeing those two teams going up against one another. Given their history, I would say Mousesports have an advantage, but Evil Geniuses can come out with some amazing plays in many different circumstances. So it should be another very, very fun and active match. But this one here, I'm not sure if it can really rival it directly. I mean, we see just some amazing drafting, some very unique strategies, and I couldn't have even believed my eyes when I saw exactly how it was playing out. So really, really cool. Very, very awesome game. And can't wait to see what Godblack has in store for us in his next match, which will be, again, versus either Evil Geniuses or Mousesports, the winner of that later on today. So thanks for tuning on in. Do you have any other thoughts before we go on into the next one, Triumph?
Not really. I think we've said just about everything that needs to be said about that lineup there.
Yeah, they speak with their words and their right clicks more so than anything else. That was just some awesome Dota. I can't wait to see more. But thanks so much for tuning in, guys. As they mentioned, the Statman mentioned, we do have multiple Twitters you can check us out at. Follow at the Prima League for the Premier League's main Twitter, and then I'm under at Blaze Casting. Triumph of Man is under at Triumph of Man. And Music Dota, I think, is the one for our Statman. So thank you guys so much for tuning on in. Check us out, follow us, support us. But thank you guys so much for joining us for some really, really cool games going on in the next one, Evil Geniuses versus Mousesports, in just a few minutes.